Hi everyone, David Aragona and Mike Beer here, taking a look at the DRF Friday race of the day, which is one of two stakes races taking place on Friday at Saratoga. Race 11 is the Perfect Sting Stakes, going the 1 mile distance for the fillies and mares. And as we're heading towards Labor Day weekend, you want to check out this sale that we've got going on at DRF.com. You can save 15% on all of your favorite DRF pot products. Just use that coupon code LBD15 off when you're shopping at shop.drf.com to take advantage of this Labor Day sale for this weekend. Well, Mike, we'll throw up the field for this Perfect Sting, the DRF Friday race of the day. And for a listed stakes race, we've got a pretty high profile runner in here in Grade 1 winner, Dynamic Pricing, who I did peg as the 9-5 morning line favorite.
Yeah, it feels like she's supposed to be pretty tough to beat in here, David. Her overall form's really solid. As you mentioned, dropping out of 2 consecutive Grade 1 wins, one of those, which was a victory. I mean, there's not that much to knock about her. She's been a good horse right from the start, and she's the horse to beat in here.
Yeah, she did disappoint last time in the Diana, but that was against some of the best turf horses in the country, including She Feels Pretty and her stablemate Excellent Truth. So this is definitely class relief for Dynamic Pricing. To get a sense of where she and the others might be placed in the early stages of this race, let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector. And Mike, it does feel like there's a fair amount of speed in this race. You know, with the game plan with the number 8, New Rome is going to be to go to the front. That's the only way that she runs well, and she'll be a big price if she runs here. But she does figure to ensure a quick pace. And you've also got the number 2, Rakia, in here, and she's kind of the key to maybe this race heating up because she can get pretty aggressive early in her races.
Yeah, you wonder how well she'll be able to settle this time because she certainly didn't do it the last time we saw her. Just got really headstrong and really wouldn't settle. So we'll see what kind of trips you can get. We also have, David, a couple of surface switchers in this race, a couple of dirt horses who have a lot of speed on that surface, and they could certainly be in the mix early here.
Yeah, particularly the number 10, Our Pretty Woman, who has shown speed on the dirt. You never know how that's going to translate to the turf, though, when they try it for the first time. But this being the DRF Friday race of the day, do note you can get free past performances for this race and every single race of the day. Just create that free account or log into your account at DRF.com, head on over to that race of the day page, and you get free Classic, Formulator, and Timeform USPPs for every single race of the day. So for this one, you can handicap along with Mike and me as we go through this field, beginning with the number 1, Zadorsky. And this is one of those horses trying the turf for the first time in here. And Mike, I kind of understand the thought process behind trying it because when you examine her dirt form, she has run her best races over sealed racetracks. And there sometimes is this idea that horses that like sealed racetracks are kind of hoping to get on the turf one day. So they're going to try it here. I will say, though, I've watched at least one of her recent turf workouts, and I wasn't thrilled with what I saw.
Yeah, I don't like her dirt form. So that's the biggest issue for me. I just don't. She's fine on that surface, but I don't like her that much as a dirt horse, and just really couldn't think of any reason why I thought that this was a good spot for them to try turf. I know she'll be a big price. I'm not using her anywhere.
The number 2, Rakia, is one of the tougher calls in this race because deep down in there, Mike, there's a lot of ability. We saw it when she made her U.S. debut on Breeders' Cup weekend last November at Del Mar when she wired a Grade 3 event going the 1 mile distance. She's getting back to that trip here. The problem is her 2 races since then have been pretty disappointing, and they are the 2 races since she's been switched into the Todd Pletcher barn. Was failed to make the lead in the Pegasus World Cup filly and mare turf at Gulfstream. Was pulling early on that race like we talked about. That took away from her finish at the end of the race. And then last time in the Bow game, Mike, I don't know what was going on. She didn't settle. She blew the turn. She just seemed like she was totally discombobulated the entire way. Now she's coming back off a layoff. I think she's trading well for this race from what I've seen. She's just a bit hard to trust.
Yeah, she's really hard to trust. And I would be more lenient, too, of her Bow the last time we saw her, David. Just because she took a ton of pressure in that race too. I mean, if she had been more settled and didn't totally blow the turn, I would feel like I could make excuses for it because she just had one of the other Chad Brown horses in their Dynamic Pricing won the race, but one of the other Chad Brown horses just came after her off the backstretch and really made her race in there. So I felt like I could excuse it, but she was still really disappointing there, really disappointing too back. And even when she won the race at Del Mar, I mean, they just absolutely turned her loose on the lead in there. No pressure at all. She had plenty left through the stretch to sprint home. I don't know, man. She's too tough a call for me. And the 5-1 morning line, the price that you made her, that's not going to be enough for me.
The number 3, Vino Rouge, is one of the few horses stepping way up in class in this race. She just won her first level allowance race, a win that was long overdue. She had been disqualified out of a win at that condition once last summer. She had been close without quite getting the job done a number of times. And Mike, she's run well in plenty of her races at that level. So I could make the case that she's a little better than she might look on paper. This just feels like it's way too big of a step up in class.
Yeah, it's not like this race, didn't come up tough. I mean, it actually came up really tough for this kind of a race. So that works against her. I'm with you. I think her overall form is fine. And she is a filly who obviously likes Saratoga. She's run really well up here, but this race just might have come up too tough for her.
A lot of the questions we're asking about the number 2, Rakia, could also be applied to the number 4, a Lilac Rolla, a horse who has plenty of good European form from last year, came off a long layoff, switching into an American stable, going into Bill Mott's barn for the Just a Game back in June. And Mike, she could not have been worse in that race. I mean, she was a little wide early, but she never got a run going at any point. She was asked in the stretch, just went backwards. Now, the turf course was listed as yielding, and that's a true yielding. That was a pretty boggy course, and maybe she didn't handle it. But Mike, I go back to her European form. She won a Group 3 over heavy going, so I don't know if I want to use that as an excuse. I'm just not sure what to do with her in this race.
I wasn't either. I mean, she did run really poorly last time, and it's kind of surprising that she's as bad as she was. So I did start looking for excuses for her, just because I really liked her form over in Europe. Not only did she run really well every single time, she faced good competition over there. She was competitive with them. And what I also really liked about her form over there, David, is she was a super handy horse over there. She was always sitting right up close, waiting, comfortable tracking paces, waiting for room in the stretch, and then really running when she got clear. So I do think she's good. And so the longer I looked at it, the more I just felt like coming back in a grade 1 against that field, and then, having to encounter that kind of a turf course, maybe it really was an excuse for her. She also did not get out of the gate well at all in that race. We see that a lot of times from Europeans. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't want to be too lenient on her, especially if she takes a lot of money in this race, but I like her form overall. And I feel like she's a good fit in here.
Yeah, I think she could be a decent price in here. I kind of went in the opposite direction, though. She sold for $1.3 million. Resolute Racing bought her for that price at the end of last year. She was off for a long time prior to that sale. I kind of wonder if the connections got out at the right time with a horse that they didn't pay a whole lot of money for originally. And we've seen some high profile purchases for this outfit not really pan out. And you will know Junior Alvarado, the regular rider for Bill Mott, lands on a different horse in this race. Make of that what you will. The number 5, Dynamic Pricing. She is just simply the horse to beat. She won the Just a Game 2 back at Saratoga. We could take a look at the replay of that race, and she beats her main rival in here, Excellent Truth. Now, you could argue Excellent Truth got a slightly wider trip on this occasion. Dynamic Pricing saved all the ground and route to this victory, but she still outgames that favorite on the outside to earn this win, and I thought it was a legitimate performance. Mike, I can go through her PPs and say that 2 of the best efforts of her career have come over yielding ground. I'm also including the Edgewood from when she was a 3-year-old, so she definitely moves up a little bit with cutting the ground, but I can also say in the Diana last time, she was just facing off against some really tough rivals, and against this field, she's supposed to be awfully tough.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, she never really landed a blow last time, but I mean, those 2 horses that finished ahead of her, they just really ran. They always had position on her in that race, and they're both really, really good. I would also throw in, David, that I don't think I want to sit there and say that 9 furlongs is too far for her, but I don't think it's her best distance. I think a mile is a really good distance for her. She's supposed to be really hard to beat in here.
And let's remember, I mean, I'm nitpicking her form on firm ground. When she won that Bogey 3 back, she was so much the best in that race, given the trip that she got. So she can definitely run a big race on firm going. The number 6, Proctor Street, is a horse who's relatively lightly raced compared to a lot of runners in this field. And she showed talent when she was first unveiled last summer. Didn't pan out when she first tried Stakes Company in the Winter Memories last year, but she came back off a layoff this year. Maybe needed that first start at Churchill, Mike, but she really moved forward last time. We'll take a look at the allowance victory at Saratoga, where, yes, she gets a very good trip in this race, but boy, does she unleash quite the turn of foot once they turn into the stretch race. She just mows this field down. She's stepping up into a tougher spot here, Mike, but this does feel like it could be a breakout performance for her.
Yeah, I felt that way about it too. And it feels like there is more room for her to get better too. So I'm leaving her open in this race. Listen, she did get an overall good trip in there, but there was really never a point from the time Irad was able to get her over to save some ground on the first turn of that race. There was never a point where it looked like she was going to lose, and she really ran in that race. I think she's pretty dangerous in here.
The number 7, Le Ray. I made reference earlier to the Winter Memories that Proctor Street competed in. Also, dynamic pricing, the favorite, was in there too last year, and Le Ray was the winner of that race as she made a big run between horses to get the job done in her U.S. debut. Now, since then, Mike, you could argue she's been a little bit disappointing. Didn't run nearly as well when they went to the Valley View at Keeneland. Was off for a long time. Made a belated start to her 4-year-old campaign at Saratoga in the De La Rose earlier this meet, and I can make an excuse for her that day, Mike, because there was just no pace in that race. And a lot of the running was done more towards the front end, deep sat, and had perfect position sitting in the pocket every step of the way to win that race. And Le Ray was trying to make a run between horses, got a little bit tight. She did ultimately have room at the end, didn't quite finish, but she was off the layoff. And maybe she can do better second off the layoff, coming back for her 4-year-old campaign, because I do think that there's some talent in there if she can finally show it.
I agree. I liked her form before she got over here. I did like her race in the Winter Memories last year when she won that day. This is the race you were just talking about, the slower division of the De La Rose, but off of a slower pace. I don't know, David. I'm trying to be lenient here because I'm a fan of this horse. I still don't like this performance. I hear what you're saying about the pace, but she's got a real shot, at least in my opinion. I bet her this day. I thought she had a real shot at that race and ultimately wasn't good enough, and then got outfinished by a couple of horses from behind her at the end. I don't know. I was disappointed, but you're 100% right to point out that she was first off the layoff there and she could easily move forward.
There have been some decent runbacks from that race. Deep sat and came back to finish second in the Boston Spa, and third place Heredia, who was also closing into that slow pace, came back to easily win the yellow ribbon out of Del Mar in her next race. The number 8, New Rome, could be up front early in this race, Mike. Unlikely to be leading this field down the stretch in the late stages because she has just faced much weaker competition in most of her turf races. And you do want to give props to a horse that's won 7 of her 10 races on the turf. She's definitely been managed well by Jenna Antonucci to make the most of the spots that she's been in. Just feels at this level a little overmatched.
Yeah, I just can't see her really, being competitive with these horses. Even if she does make the lead in here, David, I feel like the pace, it doesn't feel like she's going to, be able to walk up front anyway. But even if she got some kind of easy pace up front, I just don't think she's good enough.
The number 9, Ribalt Gaia, is a tough horse to assess. She's another one that spent most of her career in Europe, was ambitiously campaigned over there. They tried some Group 1 races. She was big prices in most of them, wasn't really competitive at that level, though she did face some very good horses in those races. Now, she came to the U.S. for her European trainer at the end of last year at Gulfstream. Finished okay, Mike. She was picking up some pieces at the end in a race that was mostly dominated by speed up front. Be your best with the winner was forward every step of the way. Now she's been off for a long time, switching into the barn of Grab Motion. She's intriguing as a new face.
I think she is too, mostly because her European form, her form over in France is actually really solid. As you pointed out, she wasn't competitive at the top level over there, but she held her own in some group races. It feels like she has enough ability. I don't know what to make of her stateside debut back in December. I really didn't think that she ran that well in there. I mean, through the upper stretch of that race, it didn't look like she was going to run at all. And then all of a sudden they angled her out in the stretch and she ran at the end and passed a bunch of horses. I don't know. I feel like she's okay. Should probably be an okay price in this race too. So I wanted to leave her open. I could use this horse somewhere, but I couldn't put her on top.
I did find a DRF formulator fact for trainer Graham Motion, just making the point you don't want to be afraid of layoffs with this barn off 6 to 12 month layoffs, 180 to 360 days in turf routes, winning at 25% in a 92 horse sample with a $2.35 ROI. We'll round out this field with the number 10, Our Pretty Woman, another horse trying the turf for the first time. And Mike, going all the way back to her debut, I didn't look it up, honestly, if she was entered for turf or she was an MTO that day, but you do see that that race came off the turf. I kind of wonder if she was entered for turf in that spot because you look at her pedigree and there is some grass in there. She's a half to a couple of minor turf winners. She's by Medaglia d'Oro, who his progeny generally love the turf when they get on it. And she has shown quality on the dirt. It's just a matter of how short a price do you want to take on a horse like this?
Yeah, exactly. I really, to me, again, with the surface switchers in this race in particular, sometimes you make the switch and you're meant for the surface and you also land in a really good spot. I don't think these horses have landed in a really good spot. This race is tough and she's going to have to be, a lot better on turf. And I'm actually a fan of hers on dirt. Early on in her career, I thought she had a chance to be really good. I don't think she ever necessarily delivered on it, but maybe she'll get better on the grass.
And Steve Asmussen, her trainer, for all his success in Saratoga over the past 5 years, he is 0 for 20 in turf routes at this meet. So something to keep in mind with our pretty woman switching surfaces. Let's go to picks for this Friday race of the day, Mike. And I think we're going to land in different places here, though we're both showing some respect to the likely favorite, the number 5 dynamic pricing.
Yeah, not way against the favorite at all. I just think it's a good spot for her. I have her as the horse to beat. I want to try the 4, a Lilac Rolla. I do. I liked her form overseas. I'm going to give her a pass for that last one and hope that she can bounce back here, hopefully over firm turf.
Yeah, we're both trying to get our top picks to run a little better in this race. With me, the number 7, Leray. She just needs to improve second off the layoff. I think she's got a right to do so because she did show talent at the end of last year, and I do believe she's going to get a better pace setup in this race than she did in her race off that long break last time. 7, 5, 9, 6 for me, and 4, 5, 6, 9 for Mike in the DRF Friday race of the day, the perfect sting, race 11 at Saratoga. Good luck if you're playing the races later this week.